or something. So let's create a calculator program here. All right, so now we already have our Hello World project already created. Let's create a basic calculator to understand how we could use. And by explaining this in a hands-on experience way, you're gonna learn, and basically you're gonna experience how you could face errors, how you can tackle problems and find cool solutions along the way. So I might intentionally throw out some errors or do something wrong on purpose, and I want you to notice out and find out the easy way possible to fix it up. So what we're gonna do is basically, let's comment this, and it's called basic calculator. Okay, so we're gonna create a basic calculator, and this is the script we're gonna rewriting. We're basically gonna have a general idea. We have two numbers. All right, so we have a number 1 and we have a number 2, and we want to allow the user to enter the two numbers. So, and what it wants to do is that we want the addition format of it, we want the subtraction of it, we want the multiplication of it, and we also want the division, and it's the /. So we want these basic 3 operators. We're gonna go a little further with like exponentiation, which could also be covered, modulus, which could also be covered, but right now it's not the need. So let's go out, and first of all, let's create a calculator. So what I would do is that I would use the input function, and over here I would say enter a number. Now you might be asking to me, why is this input function used and why not the print function used? Now the print function is also used to display text, not only text but anything else. But the input function is basically a function. Now if I like hover over this, and if I don't define anything to it, like for instance, if I take this text out, when I hit that, you see that it's a prompt, and it says a param prompt any. Read a string from standard input. The trailing new line is stripped. So basically the new line is basically stripped out, and I would tell you what that is. It's a \n, it's a carriage return. That is basically a new line, whatever you write some code, and that is stripped off, and you could change the functionality of it. And that's why I really love this. Like, it gives you a little documentation about what the function is, and that's really cool about VS Code. So we have these input parameters, which are in double quotes, and we could just say something like input first number. Okay, so input first number, that's it. Now I don't have to give any space or anything to know that I have to go to a new line. What it does is that strips off the \n, and it would just prompt me to input the first number, and I would just go like that, and that's it. All right, so what I would do here is that I could give this a new line, and I would say input first number, and I want to store it inside something. So if I don't do anything else, and I would do something like that, you see that there is something that's over here, and I just like give 100, and it just says nothing else, right? It gives nothing else, like Control Alt N, and I try to run this 100, and it just doesn't give me anything else because I didn't do anything, I didn't manipulate it. So what I do, I create a number variable. So I say input 1, all right, and I would just assign that over there. Same goes to input 2. So we have an input, another function, and now this is an input second number. So input second number, and now this is a string. Basically what's happening here is that it's associated to this input 2. Problem that arises is that string types are being assigned. So input 1 and input 2 are having strings, these double quotes or single quotes. Now difference between a 10 like that and 100 like that, or 100 like this and 100 like this, are so different, so huge, that this is a string type and this is not an actual number. It's just like a piece of text, and this is actually a number, an integer, and this could perform manipulation operations. This could also perform an operation, but we don't like generally use that for that particular case. Like, you would see an unexpected problem occurring, like for instance if we have a plus. So generally speaking, if I comment this code out, and I could just comment this out by using control and /. So you can see that both of them are commented out, and I would just say something like 100, all right, in strings, and then I try to add another string that says, let's say 3000. Now, what do you think I'm going to get? 3,100? Well, your answer is wrong. I'm not going to get this. What I'm going to get is that I'm going to get concatenation. This is string 100, right? 100 is a string, and it's getting added with the 3,000. So what it does is that it doesn't even remember the spaces and just collides with each other like that. So this is going to be concatenated. So if I save this code, I would Control Alt and N, you would see that this is the same exact thing what we had to expect. To avoid that, we would have to just take out these double quotes or whatever single quotes you have, and now it's a general string, general int. So we just save this, and now we get our desired output. Okay, so now that was out of the way. So now let's go in our project. So we create two inputs, and we say first number and second number, and we want to create, and we know that these are now string types. So what we could do is that we could like have this type, and we just put an object inside of this. And if I just like check over here, input 1, now it's not going to give me in the output screen because I didn't say the print thing. So like if I didn't have to like execute this out, but let me just comment that out again and just show you how it appears. So what happens is that if I say something like print the type of this, it's going to tell me that it's a str. So it's just going to basically say str, basically a single quote over here and a single quote, and this means that it's a string type. Okay, so it's a string type, and what a string type is, it contains a random piece of text. Okay, just a bunch of text is string. So let's save this, just show you the real thing behind all of this. So let's see, by 100, 200, and you would see that there's a class str. Now this means it's string. So we want to convert this to an input integer so that we could have addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division manipulated. So how we do that is that we have to reassign, or we could say explicitly cast it. So we create another integer, we'd say num1, and we get the input 1, right? And we could do is that we could just change it to int. All right, so explicitly casting it will change it to a number 1. Same goes here, so number 2, and we have an int, and we go and explicitly cast it to number 2. Now congratulations, we have this number 1 and number 2 as integers. Now we can do the same thing by using our type command, type function, and putting our object num1, and we check if this is a string or is a number. So we want to know that this is an integer. So what we do is that we save this code, we Control Alt and N, and you would see now you have to prompt again. So we'd say 100, 200, and now you see that this is a class int. Congratulations, we know how to cast our types. We could change it to not only int, we could change them to floats, we could change them to booleans, and I will tell you what booleans are after we go through a little more. So out of that way, we have this done. So we have this done. Now what we want to do is we want to show something. Another thing that I really don't like is that it's giving me something. So I would just say I would provide a space here. So it's just going to give me a more better experience in my console terminal. And the console terminal is basically that black box that is keep on appearing whenever I'm running the code. So this is our terminal. And now you see that this is much better as compared to this, which is all crushed inside. Now you see that it's really spaced out. Formatting is prettier. And you say 100, and you say 200, and the program crashed. It means I'm not didn't do anything else. So now let's operate by using the print function. So the print, and now let's put something inside. So we say addition. So the addition to this is something like that. And we're just gonna put we're gonna put a comma here. Now what a comma does is that it additionally gives a space. And we could just say number 1 and number 2 like that explicitly. So we have another one which is print. And I don't want to keep on typing, so I would just copy this and paste as much as I want. We have an addition, now we need a subtraction. So we just get this and we change it to subtraction. And we just change this to a minus sign. Now notice over here, if I give 100 and then a 200 to num2, I'm going to have a minus 100 because the num2 is greater. And now over here in the other part, we will have multiplication. So multiplication. And we have this asterisk symbol right here. Now this is the symbol used to denote multiplication, not a cross symbol and an asterisk symbol. And I remember that because a cross is used to denote x, and that is not a manipulator, but it's actually a character. So use your asterisk. Over here we'd use this // and we already discussed that it prints out a float. So we're just going to say over here division. So division. Save this code, Control Alt and N, and you would see now it's running, and it says invalid syntax over here. So now let's debug our code and see what the problem here arises. Now see over here that tells me our path. It says line 6. Okay, we go over here and we see that there's, oh yeah, there's a black over here. It says num1 something over here. So what does this mean? This means is that we have an invalid syntax. We says number 1 plus number 2. Now this is not proper syntax to associate this. And how are we used to define this? Well, we could change this by, instead of having that, we would have this comma outside of it. And we'd have the same thing over here. So having this space out gives us additional space to this console screen. Having this space out as well over here, and this space out as well. So let's save this code, and now you could see that thing is removed. So I made a mistake here, and I wanted to put this comma outside of the double quotes because it basically gives a space. So now you would understand when I run the code. So let me just save this code, and I'll Control Alt and N, and then you can see enter the first number, and we could say 100, second number 200, and you would see now over here that addition, it gave me a space and it says 300. Subtraction gave minus 100. Multiplication, it multiplied two things and gave 2000. And division gave 0.5. So congratulations, we wrote our code for a simple calculator in Python, and I hope you understood a lot. And I hope you understood how to go through your code and know when are you stuck onto one specific part, and you could always find out ways and solutions to help you out. We did the Python calculator back here, and now let's just create a new thing. So what I would do is that I would go in my folder. You would see that the folder is already inside, and I want to create a new thing. So let's see, this is a Python, and what is this about? This is the code temp runner file py. Just ignore that. I would just like delete this, which right click. Are you sure you want to delete hello.py? I don't want to delete it, but it's just a temporary thing. Over here we just create a new file. So right here, just click on this button, and we'll just call this as code.python. So when I hit the Python, you would see that the thing changed. So you see, instead of having this, you would see pp, and something else changes. When I do C, you see the C language. When I do plus P, you would see something else, and then C++ like that. Or in JavaScript, JS, so JavaScript, and then HTML, and just like HTML. So all of this, so many things, so many extensions, .d, ex. So there are so much languages that you could prefer. What we would say Python is like that, Py.